This one was very wild. She was not the nicest of people. When it came time for us to actually get married, she was horrified. Like, you get slapped in the face and you're not expecting it, and you're like, what was that for? Now you're checking out and now you want a relationship? I haven't had this happen before where she's an in-between, right? But she's communicating. She's speaking to me now. She's like, but how's that possible? She's really not dead yet.
For those that are listening and watching, there is hope with your in-laws yet. Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to the Medium's Table. I'm your host, Michelle Gardner. This podcast is your personal invitation to join me at the intersection of the everyday and the extraordinary. Together, we'll explore the magic of mediumship, share spiritual stories, and connect with fellow mediums on this incredible journey. So grab a seat, pour yourself a cuppa, and come join us at the Medium's Table, where spirits gather and stories unfold. I'd like to welcome back to the show, Jeannette. Now, Jeannette is a spirit communicator, I'll put it that way, or as other people may know you as a medium, among other things. But if you haven't watched Jeannette's first episode, which is episode 50, it is jam-packed. And I say, I'll get my words out, take some time to sit down, relax and listen, because it's over an hour long. You put so much into that episode, and I mean so much into that episode. It was something that even when I went back and edited, it was almost like I was rehearing some things for the first time, because there was so much as we went on during that recording. It was like I was totally absorbed into the next story and into the next story. And again, so many valuable nuggets in there as well for the viewers and listeners. So, Jeannette, on that note, please tell us what it is that you do so everybody can fully understand.
So I am a conduit, a medium, because it's interesting when you think of medium, and this only occurred to me like the last year, you're in the middle. So you have the live human over here and the spirit over here. And so you are the midpoint. And what you do, or at least what I do, is basically, connect the two. That's it, and by Spirit's grace, I'm honored to be able to do this. I take that seriously. So when I have a connection and a spirit will come through wanting to give a message to someone, I do my best to pass it on to that individual. I also do trance. I trance family members who have passed, and that's a little bit different because they get so close that they blend with me, and as opposed to me hearing them or seeing them, they're literally now just speaking right through me to you. And then I channel a few different angels that come through, and it's usually I make myself available, and it's what they deem to be important at that time. I've had an angel of passing, which is an angel that works with people that are dying. Another one of peace, and those are really cool because they leave me very mellow, without the effects of wine or the calories. And then my surprise big visitor was in 23, which was a collection of aliens, and so that one, my daughter called him Bob, because that really humanized it and kind of like made it funny and a little easier for our consciousness to accept and deal with. There's also a Spaniard that comes through because I'm bilingual. I'm Cuban American, and he's very charming and very funny and very much in your face, kind of like a conquistador. And so I don't think that there's an endpoint to whatever entity will be coming through. Like I said, it's orchestrated at a different level. I just open to it and have faith that whatever needs to come through will come through for that person. And they haven't let me down once. I mean, you always get like a little jittery and nervous, like, okay, what's going to happen now? It would be nice to know this is what's going to happen and this is coming through. But no, it's unless when I'm doing like a demonstration and I know that it's usually Bob coming through because they have at this point in time in our timeline here on Earth, they're really trying to connect with as many mediums as possible to get the word out about their coming to Earth and all this other stuff that is supposed to be taking place. So, and that point, he does come through all the time. Not that everybody really understands what's happening, but it does. That's it.
Yeah.
So, roundabout, that's kind of what I do.
And you say it so casually, like it's just this. It's no big deal. It's an everyday thing. It's all good, people.
I think that is the way that I have kind of dealt with these things throughout my life, because I've had snippets of things very weird, like knowing something's going to happen or whatever. And they're so bizarre. But meanwhile, you're doing life. So you're busy, So I take that and I go, throw it back there and continue on with my life, and don't think about it again until something else really strange and weird happens. And then I'm like, okay, that was really odd. I don't think that happens to most people. And throw it back there until, about like 2.5 years ago, where I'm like, okay, you know what? Let me start pulling out all that stuff. And this is a fascinating field. It's never a dull moment. I call it infinite, because every time you think you know something, there's something more, and it's a different realm, and there is no timeline, and there's multiple yous, like, right? So
yeah.
vortexes is like, what? Wait a minute. Wow. Man. So it's fascinating to me. It's very, very exciting.
It is very fascinating. And you do talk about in your first episode, which I'll reiterate is number 50, how your alien friend Bob has come through and given you predictions now. And you have been known as the next Nostradamus. Oh, that's what I call you, the next Nostradamus, giving predictions.
Wow.
Yes.
I need my wading boots, because that's getting deep in here, girl. Okay?
There are things in that episode that, that you have mentioned that have come to pass within the world. So I'm going to encourage people to please go back and listen to number 50, because if you haven't heard it, you are missing out big time. And you also give an example on here. So far, I say so far, because I know we have definitely not finished with our interviews for the future to come, where you channel, and I can assure you the gentleness, for the viewers and listeners, it was an angel. And if you don't believe me, go back and listen yourself. And I'll put those links and those episode numbers in the description, so it's easy for people to find you and go back and listen. But incredible. And at that time when we did that interview, I know that you weren't sure who was going to come through. As you say, these aren't things that you can predict. You can't go in there and predict and they come through. And that was incredible, absolutely incredible. And the message, whoa, you need to go back and listen and watch, guys, because that was a big one. And the message was for everyone. And I mean deeply profound for everyone. So you don't want to miss that one. Go back and watch that. Whew. So Jeannette does a little bit of everything. Amazing, weird, wonderful, whatever you want to call it. Fascinating. And there's still so much more to come.
So much more to come, not just for me, through me, but for all of us that are breathing at this moment in time. And they're going to continue to repeat it, whether it's through me. And if you don't watch this podcast, somehow everybody's going to get the heads up on what's coming. And it's good stuff. Like any transition, it might be a little difficult, but it's going to be, a good next 50 years. Yeah. I call it halftime. Yeah. So we're the halftime show. We're the halftime show.
Exactly. And it's great that, as a medium myself, you're a medium where, this is how we came together to know each other, we found each other. And it is just amazing how this stepping into this, I'll call it line of work or this service, can just open up your world to so much. And this is where, if you're listening to this for the first time or watching this for the first time, go into these episodes and the stories that mediums talk about and tell with such an open mind and open heart. Because once upon a time, we were where you were in the what? Or, we sort of you have that belief, but you don't really know about it. There's, until it really takes you and sweeps you up and throws you in the deep end and says, right, now you're really going to learn about it and we're going to make it happen for you. Would you agree with that? It's something that it's big when it happens. It's big.
Oh, yeah. And let me tell you, I'm always looking for evidence and always wanting proof. My sister's like, I don't get you. You're doing all of this and you still need proof. I'm like, when are you going to be 100% convinced? I'm like, you're absolutely right. But I still, like, when Bob comes through, like, my daughter will be like, oh, you're not going to be really happy with what happened because there was nothing really evidential or anything that, and sure enough, I'll listen to it and I'll be like, But I will tell you, the first time he came through, like you said, you start to learn more and more. Your mindset is set on this is the way things are. These are the roles people are supposed to play. I mean, you have been embedded, you have been programmed. So when there's something that's not even part of a program, it takes a lot for you to conceptualize it, to integrate it, to dissect it. And it's very interesting because once you get that, then you'll see they'll set you up with another thing and another thing and another thing. It's never ending. It's never ending. So yes.
Yeah. Definitely. And it's amazing that, like I said, we've found each other and other mediums across the world where we can come together and share our stories and each be just, it is purely for me, the wow factor. It is purely the wow factor. And it's great to be able to interact and, talk to each other and share these stories, because to share them with someone else who doesn't speak this language, I'll say this language, you come across as, what is wrong with this chick? She's crazy.
Yeah, they have a really good psych department downtown. Let me give you the number. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So, Jeannette, what do you have for us today?
Well, beautiful segue, because you were talking about the first time that we worked together. And the first time, and you're like on a Zoom link with 20 other people or something, and then they put you into breakout rooms for those of you who don't know, and then there's just two of you. And usually you'll read for that person. They'll let you know whether or not, they can take what you're saying. And then, you reverse. And my first time with Michelle, I'll never forget, because it was her mother-in-law who came through. And as soon as I started to describe her, it wasn't like she was overjoyed or like, oh, this is going to be fun. It's like my best friend who passed. No, it was like, yeah. And not having such a great experience with my own mother-in-law, even though God knows I tried, I felt horrible throughout that whole reading for her, but that's what it was. So I'm going to segue that into what I call unexpected occurrences at the most inopportune times that you're not ready for it. And as much as I'd like to honor spirit and stuff, this one was very wild. And really, for me, I thought inappropriate timing, big time. And it was my mother-in-law. So that is my story this evening, is what I'm going to go to. So if you're ready, I will take that away. I'm going to give you a little background. She was not the nicest of people. She was difficult with her own husband. From what I had heard, she could go sometimes months without speaking to him when she would be annoyed. Difficult with her children. it was interesting to me because being from a Latin family, you have such a huge extended family. This aunt, this great uncle, you have fifth cousins. I mean, you stick together. And I would ask my husband, so, where are all your cousins and stuff? Well, no, my mom stopped talking to this aunt and she no longer talked to that person and they haven't seen that person. And I'm like, it's a little odd. You know what I mean? There were a lot of cues going into this with her. Um, his father passed of cancer the first year that we were dating. And so he was still living at home with his mom and he didn't leave. I get that. So when it came time for us to actually get married, she was horrified. First of all, she thought I was too independent. She literally told him she's going to leave you and cheat on you. I was very faithful because when I'm with somebody, it's because I know I want to be there. Otherwise, what's the point? Like my grandmother used to tell me, if you're having more fun by yourself than you are with that other person, there's no reason for you to be with them. Don't waste your time. So she was difficult, very difficult, even with her own grandchildren, just things that were so inappropriate. If they were getting a little bit heavy, she would, in front of everybody, say, "You've gotten fat. You're really fat." And I'm telling you, these children were like 9 years old, 10 years old. You know, that chubby stage. And then, you'd see their eyes swell up and, harsh. I mean, for me, that was like, that's it. These Sunday visits to grandma, they're done, over. We're not doing this anymore. And with me at my wedding, she just sat there at that table and cried all night and told me, "You have taken my son from me, blah, blah, blah." And I was like, whoa, this is like, more champagne, please. Can you put a shot in it? Thank you. I'm not gonna let her bum me out on my wedding night. Yeah. Okay. So she was like that and very possessive, and just very hard. And anybody who knew her will tell you that. And I really tried with her to be kind, to do things for her. But she was one of these people that if you do something for her, it's not enough. But you didn't get me this and you didn't do that. I remember a trip that we invited her to Disney and we all took care of her. It was like a family event. And the following weekend, back at home, she's like, "Nobody's taken me everywhere, haven't that?" And I'm like, "Do you not remember Disney World with the wheelchair and the whole thing?" "Oh, but that was last weekend. You guys are going out to dinner now and I'm not going anywhere." I'm like, kind of sorry. We're married. We're young. You're in a different stage of life. So she was tough. So she also had this way. You'd be visiting her, having a conversation. Her phone would ring, and she'd pick up, and she'd be talking the way I am now, right? She'd be like, "Hello, oh yes." I would look at my husband, and he'd look at me and be like, "What the hell is happening here?" It was attention seeking. "I don't feel well. I have heart condition, da, da, da." I mean, she would just really milk this. So when we were first married, she would call up, always after 11 p.m., of course, and talk to my husband on the phone. Latin people were pretty bad, at least the Cubans. Like, my daughter and I text, I don't know how many times a day, 3 or 4 phone calls a day. And that's this generation. I was the same way with my mom. I would call her pretty much every night to say goodnight. How was everybody doing? How's dad? And that's it. So it wasn't the fact that she was calling, it was the fact that she called late and she would do it on purpose. At one of those times, Michelle, she goes, "I didn't catch you guys, having sex. Did I?" To me, because she knew that she wouldn't say that to Mike. And I'm like, "No, plus if we were having sex, we wouldn't pick up the phone because, it's too good to interrupt for anything." So I knew how to handle her, but it was like, it was a bummer because you could have a nice relationship with somebody and they make it impossible, but that's the way life is sometimes. So that first year she would call and then she would be like, "Oh, my heart, blah, blah, blah." And my husband, and I can't blame him, would go and make sure she's okay, right? Until it finally got to a point where I'm like, this is all BS. And I said, "Listen, go ahead and go to your mom tonight, but don't come back. Just spend the night there because I don't want to have to wake up because you're getting back. You want to do your thing and, make sure your mom's okay. That's fine. Unfortunately, there weren't cameras and all this stuff today that really cuts through all that crap real easily. So it was a big problem that first year. And it was because of her. She really tried to separate us and create a lot of issues. It was a lot. So life with her was, difficult. She was the one thing in our marriage that was a problem. It wasn't money. It was just her. So years go by. She has a horrible heart condition. She gets several surgeries. There's always a phone call. She doesn't feel well. Everybody goes running. And, the last time, and I just remembered, it was 3 days before my husband's birthday. And by this time now, we've been together, let me think, I don't know, maybe 20 years or something. And I didn't believe she could last this long. I was like, really? Until when? And so when he hangs up the phone, he's like, no, I got to go to my mother's house. And she's like, I know she's doing this because it's my birthday in 3 days. That's her own son. Because by that time, his eyes had opened up to all of her manipulation. And he got it. And it would just piss him off, because he's exhausted. He's been working his butt off through the day. And again, after 11 p.m. So now let me go see how mom is over there. And it took a little bit longer, but sure enough, that night was the night that she, was critical. By the time I got to the hospital, she was on a respirator and she was no longer, functioning on her own. She was just connected to a million things. And it was, she was dying. So it was just a matter of time before. And I had never really gone through this experience before. You see it in the movies and you expect a certain thing. It's not like that at all. And so that lasted 3 days. So that first night, we're standing in her room. Michael, his 2 brothers, their wives, her grandchildren, not her great grandchildren because they were still too young, right? And everybody's just very somber, looking down. You hear sniffling, and just a quiet moment. Everybody's kind of in their own space, but feeling the same thing. And I hear, Jeannette. I look around, and everybody's looking down and crying, and I'm like, Jeannette, I need you to help me. And it's her voice. And I'm looking at her. She's got the thing in her mouth, and she's not there. And this was before I developed and understood what any of this stuff was. So, and again, after this happened, by the way, it was a throw it back there moment because it was too much for me to deal with after I went through this whole thing that I'm going to talk to you guys about tonight. So, she goes to me, I need you to help me. I'm human. So excuse me. My first thought is like, really? Now you're checking out and now you want a relationship? And then she continues, you need to help me. I've just been such a terrible human being and I want an opportunity to ask for forgiveness. And then she started by apologizing to me. And I'm listening to this while I'm in a room. It's like I'm in a different world within a world where all the other families are in. But we're not on the same page. So surreal. These are surreal things that take place. And I'm like, okay. And she's like, I'm sorry. The truth is that I knew you were going to be a wonderful wife for my son. And I was jealous, of your energy, you're funny and whatever. And I'm like, I can't believe this. And then I question myself because I tell you, right, evidence. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, is there any possibility? And I'm thinking, nah, never in a million years would I think or imagine or create that my mother-in-law would be apologizing to me for being as rude as she had been and unloving, basically, because we all have such a capacity to love. And so when we hold it back from somebody, that's like the biggest pain that I think that you can bestow on another human being. So I'm like, okay, I gotta go. I gotta leave. My husband looks at me, he's like, "Well, you walking out?" I'm like, "I need a little air. I'll be back." I'm like, okay, and now she's talking to me. I'm not in the room. So she's everywhere in this hospital. And she's explaining to me, and she's asking me to speak to her granddaughter, her son, the nanny that we had hired to help take care of her because there's no way she could live with anybody. She was impossible. And okay, so I went home that night and I didn't answer her because, again, I was not anywhere near the knowledge or the acquisition of skills and tools that I have been able to acquire in the last few years. And I guess the next day I go back and I'm standing there and she starts in again. And she goes, I need you to talk to my granddaughter because, and she was so mean to her. I remember this girl being pregnant for the first time. We're at a family Christmas Eve. Everybody's gathered around, and we're doing appetizers and whatnot. And she's sitting there in her wheelchair, and she looks up at her, and she goes, "You have gotten huge. You're so big. You're as big as a cow. You're like a fat cow."
Oh.
It was so shocking that no one said anything. Because when I thought back on it, I'm like, wow, I should have like jumped in. I should have said, you look beautiful. But it was like you get slapped in the face and you're not expecting it. And you're like, what was that for? And so that was her relationship with that. I mean, it's very hard for someone to forgive somebody for that, especially if they never ask you for forgiveness and they continue through, the following years to do similar things to you, to your children when you go and you visit her on a Sunday afternoon and you spend 2 hours there. And so she continued those shenanigans with this granddaughter pretty much up until the moment she died. And so she's wanting me to apologize to her. Now, my husband knows that I have these things that happen. Okay. But none of his family has any idea. And they're all grieving. They're all in a very delicate state. So I'm thinking, this is not easy. How do I go up to someone who's grieving that they're losing their grandmother and say, hey, I'm a medium. She's talking to me. And do you have a minute? I mean, what words do you use? How do you put this together to do no harm and actually get her message through and see if this can culminate in a solid, positive experience, even though you're in a really negative space with, the death happening. So that daughter-in-law, she's a little tough. Okay. Can't blame her. And so her husband, sweetest guy. First time I met him, he was pumping gas at a gas station near my house because that's the Shell that I would go to. And he was super fun and charming, and I would always joke with him. This is back when they would clean your windows and everything, Michelle, check. Anyway, so we always had this connection of ease with each other. And it's funny because when I look back at a lot of these things that are spirit and whoever else is around you helps you to facilitate what you believe to be an impossible situation. So all of a sudden he's standing out there and he's just like, hey, how are you? Do you have a minute? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, so I kind of have this thing where I have an ability to talk to people once they've passed. And he's like, oh, you mean like a medium? Because he's Latin, he gets it. And I go, yeah. He's like, oh, wow, really? I'm like, yeah. I'm thinking, man, this is going a lot better than I had expected, And I said, so this is what's happening. He didn't roll his eyes. He didn't raise his eyebrows. He was just like listening and nodding, like I get it. And then I said, and she really wants me to speak with your wife. And I don't know how I'm going to do that. And he's like, Jack, you have to. You don't know how broken up she is right now. It isn't so much that she knows she's going to lose her grandmother because she's been ill for years. It's that she feels horrible because she stopped taking the kids over there and because all these other things, how she reciprocated her grandmother's negativity towards her. Please, I'll go get her. I sat there again going, what? Really? Okay. What? So he brings her and she's all crying and upset, and I go, she goes, oh, he told me, and then I started to explain to her, I haven't had this happen before where she's an in-between, right? But she's communicating and she's really wanting to apologize to you. And it is a heart-filled apology. She regrets so many things that she said to you, the way that she acted towards you, and the fact that she didn't love you the way a granddaughter deserves to be loved. And she looks at me and she's like, are you she goes, I just feel horrible because like myself, she stopped going, or she would go, but she purposely did not take her children. And so she was experiencing tremendous guilt at the same time of feeling, that she's losing her grandmother and that grief. So it was a lot. You see her shoulders kind of, because, the other part is, are any of them going to believe me? Now, they know my relationship with my mother-in-law. So my logical mind says, why wouldn't they? Because I couldn't make this up if I wanted to. I wouldn't want to. So, she goes in and holds her grandmother's hand or whatever. And she says, she's saying anything now? She's just saying thank you, that you've forgiven her. And so she's crying and I'm like, wow, okay. I'm going through this, but almost like in a dream state or somewhat disassociated from it because it's too much for me to wrap my head around. So that was the granddaughter. Then the other granddaughter was having a lot of fun and being very promiscuous. That one was a little more fun. So, what was it with this one? She would always put down all the guys that she was with and made her feel very insecure, just damaged. It's just damage to, we're so fragile as human beings. We don't need anybody to add to it as we go through life. We're self-critical, we're hard on ourselves. And so with that one, she actually, and I don't know how she got access to this, it worries me a little bit, brought in a scenario of something that had taken place with her and one of the boyfriends, which I'm not going to go into because it was, let's just say it would have been like, late night stuff. Okay. And then she again asked her to let that go. And that happened. She let it go. So that was enough for that one day. So day number 3, she has me talk to the nanny. Now, I asked her to go to coffee again. And I don't want to generalize, but usually people from South America and Latin background are a little more, open to all of this. And I said, I have this thing. I speak to her like, oh, okay. And I said, and she's speaking to me now. She's like, but how is that possible? She's really not dead yet. And I go, look, I don't really know the details. I can't tell you the science behind it. I can only share with you what's happening to me. And this is what she's wanting me to do. This is like my favorite part of this story because there was so much evidence. It was crazy. So she starts in and she says, tell her I am so sorry that she was wonderful, that I was lucky to have her. And I never told her. And I never told her how much I grew to love her and appreciate her, because at the same time, it was annoying for me that I even needed to have somebody, but that's not on her. And then she goes into all these horrible things that she had done to this poor lady. So the first one, she says, the first thing I need to tell her is the money. And so I'm listening to my mother-in-law and I'm having coffee with this lady and I'm saying, so she says the first thing she needs to talk to you about is the money. And then she tells me the money that I accused her of stealing. She says the money that she said that you stole. And she said that she never stole, I hid it. I'm like, because I'm expecting this woman now to get very angry and it's just going to come at me, right? So I'm like, well, what she's saying is that she knows you didn't take the money because she purposely hid it someplace you would never find it so that she could have this whole drama with you. She smacks her coffee down. She's like, I knew it. I knew it. I can't believe her. She is incredible. She is impossible. I can't believe how impossible she is. I'm like, yeah. Maybe we can put a little whiskey in your coffee. Just start laughing. And then she's showing me where she hid it in the back of some drawer, and that she had a box and it had like a velvet thing on the bottom of it. And she had lifted up the velvet and that's where she put the money. And then she stuck the velvet back down. So even if she had gone through there and looked in the box, she would not have found it. So she says, please go home and look for it tonight so you can see. Okay. She was pretty upset. And again, grieving. She's also just, going to be losing her job. So she has a lot of things on her mind. And she's furious that this woman had done this to her. I never asked, because I was so in the muck of it all, and I guess she didn't. She never told the sons that she thought this had happened, because I would have heard about it. So it was just something that she did. Now, she probably threatened her. Knowing her, she probably said, I'm going to tell my kids, So, okay, that was enough for that day. The next day, again, she's like, okay, I want you to talk to this son. And I don't remember exactly what she told him. It was something about over drinking, drinking too much, excessive drinking, and his behavior with his family. I had no idea what that meant. She wasn't going to disclose it. I didn't want to know. And he's like, okay. But again, it was like, hey, do you have a minute? Now you're losing your mom. But by the way, she actually has some things that she wants to tell you. So it was kind of like by this point, I kind of had gotten used to it. All right. So that was that one. The other son, funny enough, she told me, what did she say about him? He has so much going on that is negative, like me, and somewhat heartless. And all I can do is hope that he changes before it's too late. But she didn't have me speak to him. I think today I look back and I think she probably knew that he wasn't going to hear it anyway, because I think she was going to, and with him, she had a good relationship. I think she was going to try and tell him, be a better human being so that you don't end up where I'm at right now. So then I go and have coffee with, the lovely nanny. She was a wonderful person. And she goes, I have to tell you, I went home. The first thing I did was I opened the drawer. I went to the back. I opened the box and I moved the little thing and I see the green dollars. It was all there. I can't believe she did that to me. I'm like, I'm really sorry. She goes, is there more? I go, oh yeah, she's got more. She says, tell me more. I'm ready now. Okay. I'm like, okay, fine. So she starts to tell me, she says, tell her that at the end of the day, their routine was she would feed her, put her in bed, And then, she would leave her watching her novelas. And then this lady would be able to go and have her dinner and watch whatever she wanted. She says that when you would sit down and you would apparently watch like a comedy show in Spanish, and she would hear you laughing, and she could hear your utensils, as you were cutting on your plate. And on purpose, because it annoyed her that you were enjoying your life, having your dinner and laughing. Can you see, you get where I'm saying, where she was like not okay there. Hi, my heart, hi. And you would get up and go over there. And she was, I knew it. I knew it because every time I thought, there's no way that this is a coincidence, because it's always when I sit down, I'm relaxing, she's in bed, everything is done. Because it's not easy taking care of somebody. She was bedbound. That's, God bless all the people that do that work. And I would start eating. I would my food would get cold. I would take her, check her pulse, do all the stuff that I had to do. And she was fine. She said that happened at least once a week, Jeannette. And I'm so sorry, because we always valued her. There was one Christmas where we bought her a TV so she could have it in her own room. That Christmas morning, and the kids were small, they were like 8, 10, whatever. She got so angry that she took her cane and threw it and said, "Why did you have to buy her a TV?" Between the 3 brothers and the wives, we got her a TV. And I just sat there and went, oh my God, it escalated into something really nasty, because, one of the sons put her in her place in front of the kids, and there was, foul language. Merry Christmas, everybody. Don't you love the family holidays? Just full of love and good cheer.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, that was a lot. So that's the kind of she was wonderful. She was so lucky to have had that lady, but it bothered her that we all cared for her and valued her and came to love her.
Yeah.
Jealousy. I think it was just a repetitive theme with her all the time. So she mentioned the money, and then she mentioned the thing about eating. And what was the other one? When she would be on the phone, she was down and she'd given her lunch or whatever. In the afternoon, she would talk to a sister that she had locally. And would come the cries from the bedroom. All right. And so, I have to let you go because something's happening. I got to check it out. She would do that. And the lady, who's very respectful, even at that point, said, now it all makes sense to me. Now it all makes sense. I thought I was going crazy because I thought there's no way that anybody would do this. I treat her with kindness. I love her. I'm, make her favorite meals, all of the stuff. Why would anyone respond and reciprocate with this darkness and this malaise? And so there you have it. She was just, and then she was so grateful. And she forgave her. And that was one of these moments that, as crazy as those days were, I was like, this is why this is still a thing and people still do this. She hugged me and she was crying and she said, thank you, because I did love her. And now I know, because she said, I tell her that I love her, tell her that I don't know what my last years would have been like without her. So everything came around full circle with this relationship. With that, she was closer to her at that point than even her kids were, because she would lived with her every day and took care of everything. When things would get difficult, then she would call, hey, we need 911, whatever. She was so grateful, and she was now in such a different place with the grief of losing her, because she was another one that it was like conflicting emotions. She was grieving, and yet she was still kind of pissed off at her and wondering, like, what was that whole relationship about? So she got a lot of closure there out of it.
Yeah.
And the next day she was, just, I say you can see the tones and, like the muscles and stuff. And the people just kind of relax there and accepting, and just, it's a beautiful thing to be able to experience that, and such an honor to be able to facilitate that whenever, no matter how scary and unacceptable it may be to me. In the end, it's like, wow, I was able to be a part of those emotions. A true, for me, treasure, really is. So she finally passed. And that whole passing, and for my husband, it was a lot of thank yous for him, but she didn't really spend a lot of time apologizing to him about anything. Maybe because he didn't need it. I don't know, because I don't think he really held anything against her. That's kind of the way he was with her. Even though at the end he's like, I knew it, and she died 3 days, either I think it was before his birthday, something like that. And he would jokingly say, well, to the very end, she needed to have the attention, and just kind of like, like that 11 o'clock when you're honeymooning, come over, I don't feel well. So that was my experience there. With the final moments of passing, what we were all expecting was, like in the movie, okay, well, the whole thing about disconnecting, and then my husband did come to me like, what does she want? Like, well, she's finished. She has been forgiven very graciously by all these people that she harmed, and she says that she's done and she's ready to go. So he was able to get that, and that made him feel better. But so they come in, and they're all quiet and they're all somber, the nurses and whatever, and they pull this and they turn that off, and you're hearing all these sounds like they're amplified, like click, click, click. And because no one speaks, you can hear the breathing, the machine that's breathing for her. In the movies, they unplug it, and then they show you that machine, and then it goes, eh. So you figure like 5-10 minutes, and you know what I mean? You're like, hey, heat up dinner, I'll be home in a minute. No, it takes an incredible amount of time. Somebody should put for real that in some movies. So when you're ever in that situation, you're like, okay, this is going to be a while. And so, her slowly, the breath and the heart, it took half an hour. And then for those people who don't really know about, the anatomy, and when your muscles aren't getting oxygen and whatever. So they'll be twitching, and they're like, oh no, she's moving, and they're like excitedly calling, yeah, her hands are, she was, and then you see the nurses like, no, that's just like, it's the muscles that are contracting, and it's part of the process. But I'm telling you, they should tell you this stuff going in. They should tell you, this is what you guys should expect as a family. It's going to be minimum half an hour. It's slowly, slowly, slowly. And then some of the nastier parts there at the very end that, people are like, what is happening down there? So they should give you at least a little pamphlet, and you could read it on your own. That's my take. And they weren't today. That was many years ago. Until finally, Michelle, and I'm thinking, okay, that's it. I'm done. Go in peace, many blessings. And then I hear Jeannette. I'm like, thank you. And I'm like, okay, thank you. Like, okay, but so we're done with this business, right? Yes, we're done. Thank you. Not everybody would have done that. So I was like, wow. And then there was a few minutes, and then it finally, and like I said, it doesn't go, it goes dee, 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 dee. It takes forever until, and then even when it does straight line, then it does a little thing until it's finally, and everybody's just watching this monitor, waiting until it's finally done. It was an amazing experience. What I did with that was like, throw it back there because, I'm working, I'm studying, I got a life. I don't know what that was. I know it was for real because there was a lot of evidence, but I'm not in any place in my life to research it or dissect it or figure it out. So I just move on. So it's like I close it all in a closet and I move on. And none of those individuals ever spoke to me again about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was okay with that too, because I really didn't need to have to regurgitate any of this stuff. And that was it. It was really interesting to me. A lot of people will say that if someone is passing, you can feel the spirit there. But nobody's ever told me, and that spirit may decide to talk to somebody to get a couple of words out before they're actually gone, and then I ask myself, is it that she recognized that, let me try and correct some of my ways before I check out of here so that I don't have to do it from a much further distance in a way, because then she would have to find somebody. They would have to actually go to somebody to look to. A lot of people, when they lose someone, they don't think of, oh, let me see if somebody can bring them through. I want to talk to them. A lot of people don't do that. That's not one of the things that you think of. You go through the funeral arrangements, and and you're done. And and then you have your memories or your photographs. It's a different process, I think, for everyone when they lose somebody. But that one was surreally unique for me, bizarre and very weird. But yeah, so that is my mother-in-law.
But how fortunate your family and your husband's family, should I say, were to have you there and open to allowing all of them to get that closure. The nanny, to get that closure and understand how she really felt or what she really wanted to say. But obviously, when she was living and capable, it was her, it was almost like when people get in their own way and she just could not, for whatever reason, be that nice person or be that person who apologized or.
It's, I think, the human insecurities. She was, I think, an only child, but she had a half sister. She was also estranged from, and she either, I don't know if it was the dad that was the same or the mother that was the same. But I think she was born first. And so for the second marriage, that new daughter, her sister, half sister, became their world. So yeah, I'm just, blowing smoke here. But I think that might have had a lot to do with her feeling that even when you did love her and try, she could feel that, but she was immediately threatened by any other love that you may, that she may be, seeing that you give to your kid, that you give to your spouse.
Yeah.
She couldn't understand the infinite human capacity for love because it's continuously coming from source and regenerating, and you're putting it out and you're getting it back in unless you have some kind of, blockage or something, like, unfortunately, she had. Yeah, that family, funny enough, and I never thought about it until you said how fortunate they were to have somebody make that connection for them. I never thought, oh, nobody said thank you, until like today. I can't even tell you. I'm like, yeah, somebody could have said, hey, thanks.
Yeah. Well, Jeanette's family, if you're watching, flowers would be nice too, and a thank you card.
I think the only one who really got what I was going through was, her granddaughter's husband, because he saw the desperation in my face, like, what do I do with this? This is like a heavy, charge, a heavy, role that somebody is wanting me to play. But again, I got to tell you that when you think impossible, how's this source? Well, your guardian angels, her guardian angels, because behind the scenes, it's like you see a movie and you see the actor, but there's a million different people that were involved in producing that. There were a million different energy sources that were involved in producing that for her.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just like wowed by that. It's almost like, to start with, I'm going to say I really apologize to all the people out there who are listening or watching this story and going, she just described my mother-in-law. But there may be hope at the end. I'm just saying, if you know the right people who are going to be around.
Yeah, if your mother-in-law's dying and she's been a little beat to you, take a medium with you.
Yeah,
to the bedside.
Contact Jeannette.
Give them a chance. Give them a chance to, say that they're sorry and correct their ways. But I got to tell you, I also think maybe a lot of people are in that exact situation where they know they're dying and they still have that same feeling that, well, screw them. They never did enough for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was interesting. I mean, I wish I could really understand exactly more of the logical stuff of what took place there with her emotionally, because I can guarantee you that it was just at that moment. It wasn't anything that she was feeling leading up to that day. Not at all. Yeah. So I don't know if some angel came through and said, this is what, this is your chance to do something. Do you want to? I'm just super curious as to what I didn't get to see or understand and what I wasn't privy to. Like, I think I deserve that. Yeah. And dream maybe.
Yeah. Like, how was this all orchestrated behind the scenes, but you can't physically see it, but it all unfolded as it did. It's just, it's almost, I guess some would say, miraculous. But again, all the family that got closure after all those years, of being put through all the horrible things that she said and did towards these people, to finally at the end have her say, it was me, so to speak, not you. I was the one who was nasty.
Forgive me. It was like, por favor, perdóname. Like, I mean, it was sincere. I could feel her agony with, her understanding of the pain that she had caused so many people that loved her, your closest family, and that she loved.
Yeah.
And for what?
Yeah.
Jealousy? I don't know. But
to then have to apologize.
I have to understand what her spirit went through. Like, okay, I see them there. I see my body. I'm dying. They're all there. And then what was it? An angel who talked to her? I mean, I'll know when I'm no longer in this vessel, I guess, but man, I would really love to know that.
Yeah, exactly. To then have to apologize for everything she did at the end. But it's just, so do you think that maybe it was I'm just, surmising here. And this is how I sort of look at that and go, okay, this would be logical to me. Do you think maybe at the end, like you're saying, she sort of had one foot there, one foot here, and she went through her life review here because she had the conduit, being you, to be able to help that process along before she officially fully went to the other side. Do you know what I mean? Fully transitioned.
Yeah. It's possible. Yeah, definitely. Like I said, I would really love to know how, like, the floor plan. So I could really understand how this went down. Yeah. And is everybody given that same opportunity?
That's it.
Or not? She connected with me after, I think we were at the burial. And I was like, thought we were done. And she explained to me that she wanted her an engagement ring to go to a particular granddaughter, another ring to go to another granddaughter. Cubans used to wear these really, I mean, honestly, they were this big medallions with like Archangel Michael or the Virgin Mary or whatever, with these huge gold chains. She wanted that to go to somebody. And then a particular ring that I still feel bad about, citron, like pretty tacky, but anyway, she wanted that to go to the nanny's daughter. Okay. So you think with all of that happened, this group would be somewhat enlightened. Yeah. Wow. I'm not going to give that to this person. I'm going to give that to that person. I'm like, listen, I'm just passing it along. None of it was for me, by the way. Footnote. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
No, it wasn't like, yes, give Jeannette, beautiful diamond, whatever. So, and I said, look, you got to do what you want. I'm just telling you what she's asking because she didn't have a will like that. And I was allowed to do some of it, with the exception of the ring that was supposed to go to the nanny's daughter, because they couldn't fathom that it wouldn't stay in the family. But that's what she wanted to do. So I at least told the nanny, I go, look, this is what she had wanted. But yeah, I called her. I remember calling her. I go, look, I feel really bad because, she came at the funeral and she told me this to this person, and she wants you to have. And she's like, oh, I always loved it. I would always tell her that I loved it, that it was beautiful, And she would tell me, well, look at it because you're never going to get it. You're never going to get to wear it. Again, in line with her personality. I'm going to tell you, when I told you she was horrible, I was not.
Yeah.
I was not sugarcoating it. And I said, she wants you to have it for your daughter. And she started crying and everything. And I said, but it's not mine. I can't give it to you. And those in control are not about letting it go. And I don't think it's really worth anything. And it was just about the sentiment behind it. And they're men. What the heck are they going to do with it anyway? So, and let me tell you that I would bring this up and fight about it with my husband. I'm like, I don't understand. What the heck do you want with that? Anyway, what are you going to do with that? And that was years and years ago. And so he had it. And so it's still sitting there.
Wow.
Yeah. But, I think if that's the only thing that she wasn't able to accomplish, she did really great.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And you did really great in passing that along, because without you, this would have been much more difficult or not happened at all.
Yeah. And those two granddaughters have those rings, and one of them wears it on a chain.
Oh,
so had there not been that moment of her being able to connect with them and ask them for the forgiveness, she probably would not have even wanted it.
Yeah.
So she continues to have, that heart open space for her grandmother because of her coming through and asking, let that go and please take my love now and understand that I was just human and not where I should have been, clear enough to understand the gift of feeling love, being loved, and returning it to others.
Yeah. And it was the gift of changing that relationship, right? I mean, I know it was at the very end, but still you were able to gift that to them as well. Do you know what I mean? Of them being able to see the relationship in a different light.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's such a beautiful story. And again, for those that are listening and watching, there is hope with your in-laws yet.
They may not leave you anything, but they may somehow appreciate you. So
that's right. Yeah. Exactly. But again, you can always contact a medium. And Jeannette, look, here she is right here. She may be able to help you. And again, this also shows, and this is what I love about this story also, that even though our loved ones are not on the other side yet or transitioned yet, even when they're still physically here at the end of their time, they are still able to communicate in different ways. Like, again, through you, she was coming through. I mean, what do you call that? In spirit? She was able to.
I don't know. Like I'm telling you, this was a really strange one for me. I have not figured that out yet. Yeah. Well, the way that I was receiving her was like I receive spirit now, although now it's a lot clearer because I've worked on it and I continue to develop until, I'm no longer here. I heard her and I didn't see her though, because I'm seeing her there. Yeah. So I was just hearing her and passing her words through. So
Mm.
yeah, it's interesting. I never really kind of sat back. It was such a lovely experience that I just rerun it all the time. No, I don't. So I really didn't spend a lot of time until tonight going, I wonder how that all went down. And yeah, now that I think about it, no, it's not like I ever saw her in my mind's eye that I normally do with people who are really past. I just kept hearing her over,
Yeah.
over and over. Yeah. Interesting.
Incredible. Yeah. Wow. Well, thank you so much, Jeanette, for that incredible story and experience. My God. And particularly before you'd even developed into officially, like, as you would say, a medium, obviously that gift was just there waiting to fully blossom. It was, as we say, we might say, simmering in the background, giving you little bits and pieces,
Yeah.
but that's just incredible. And this gives, again, like I say, a lot of people hope with their in-laws, because, we know that this is very common.
I want to leave the people that are listening to this with something that I think everyone could use. If you're with someone that you have that love connection with and they're passing, and you hear them talk to you, you're going to think it's your imagination. Like, I love the fact that you would always pick me up and take me out in that car, whatever it happens to be. Please recognize that took a lot of energy for them to do, and it's truly them. And in that instant, you can mentally, because we spend too much time talking. It's all really cognitive, psychic connection. And you can just say, I loved being able to have you in my car and spend that time with you, whatever it is. And you will feel that connection with that person. And again, it'll be kind of surreal because you'll see them there passing, but you are talking to them.
Mm.
So if you hear that, please know that it's your loved one talking to you, and carry on a conversation and tell them whatever you want to tell them.
Yeah. Very wise words.
We can all do this. And I think when we're passing, maybe it's another one of those moments where they say the veil is very thin, like the moon and an astrology. But I think that may be one of those moments where everything is maybe heightened, and there's a real easy opportunity for people to hear and to respond.
Yeah, absolutely. Very wise words, Jeanette. Thank you. Whew, wow. Okay. So where can people find you? Particularly after that story, I think you might have a few people hunting you down.
Yeah, well, I don't really think I'm going to go to a hospital or redo that. I was like, that's some tough stuff. But I do know that there are individuals called death doulas, which I've been researching, that they kind of dedicate their lives to doing stuff like that when an individual is passing. So you can look that up, death doula, and they help with the transition. They help the family. They help the individual that's passing. So anyway, I'm at JeannetteConnects.com. And all of my stuff there is on my website, the different services that I do, demonstrations, etc. It's all there.
Fantastic.
And it's kind of a funny website, I will tell you. I kind of like my website because my whole thing is to try and reach as many people who don't get this, or the people who think that it's scary. So when I came up with the idea for the website, it's a picture. My daughter and I were on a roller coaster ride, and I'm like in sheer panic. In that moment when it's dropping, I'm like, that's the picture. You're going to be like, how weird is this woman, man? She is very bizarre. So, and the whole thing is there's nothing to be afraid of. They're the people that love you, that are still there, that are wanting to connect and talk to you and tell you something or apologize for something. It's a real beautiful gift that, again, and I know where I've repeated this in another one of your interviews here, is we're all born with this somewhere along the way, with all the lessons and humanities and inputs and, downloads that we get, it gets buried and it disappears. But that ability to be able to hear that person and talk back to them, you all have it. Yeah. You all have it. You just open up and realize and ask them, hey, give me, test it. Trust me, I've tested my stuff. and I continue to test my stuff. And they will. You'll get signs. So
I love
and again,
that.
thank you so much. And it's always a pleasure and an honor. And I am very fortunate, as are everyone in this world, that you're out here and you're putting and connecting people with shows like this, where they can see, this is like a normal person with, everything that they've got going on.
Yeah.
And open them up to that world that is part of this world. We just don't see it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Jeannette. And we look forward to having you back on the show with some more amazing, mind-blowing stories very, very soon.
Fun stuff. Thank you so much. Have a great night, Michelle.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining me at the Medium's Table. The universe is always speaking. Listen and let your spirit soar. Curious for more? Click on one of the videos below and remember to subscribe.